Places like Morgan Stanley, they need that ETF to season for a little more than 3 months before their salesmen are even allowed to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, guy in the white hat in the front row, I think you should put 2% of your portfolio into Bitcoin. What is shocking to talk about how strong crypto is right now. At the beginning of the year, we thought, the market, not just we, thought 5 Fed cuts this year, maybe 7. And now we've gotten 0, and it doesn't look like we're getting any until maybe September, and if we get them, we're going to get 1 this year. And crypto's at the highs.
Mike Novogratz begins by highlighting 2 significant regulatory developments that could dramatically alter the crypto landscape in the United States: the potential overturning of an existing accounting rule and the introduction of the Market Infrastructure Bill. The accounting rule change would enable major custodians like Bank of New York and State Street to start holding cryptocurrencies, a move that would open the doors for more institutional investment in the crypto space. The political landscape surrounding crypto has experienced a seismic shift recently. Novogratz mentions a surprising move from the White House, where President Biden announced he would veto the overturn of a specific accounting rule filed by the SEC. This action puzzled many, including Novogratz, who speculates that it might have been a response to political pressures.
Listen, the 2 biggest things that will shift the landscape in the US around crypto is this accounting rule being passed or being overturned and the Market Infrastructure Bill. Right? What does the accounting rule do? It allows Bank of New York and State Street, the world's biggest custodians, to start custodying crypto. And the Market Structure Bill, not good for me, because the day after it passes, Citibank's going to be calling the headhunters to call for my employees. But what has stopped Wall Street at large from being a participant in the digital markets is regulatory uncertainty. It's the fear that the Fed is going to call and say, no, you can't do that. The fear the SEC is going to be down their throat. The feel that they're going to get a Wells notice, just like almost all the crypto companies. And so as that goes away, you will see a stampede of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and Citibank and Jefferies and everybody else into this space. I'm hoping, in some ways, I hope it gets delayed a little bit, allows guys like us to build our muscles a little stronger, because like that's really when the big show happens on who's going to be the service providers to the universe that comes in. And so, yeah, the first movers are wealth management clients who said, I want some of this. And just so you know, places like Morgan Stanley, they need that ETF to season for a little more than 3 months before their salesmen are even allowed to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, guy in the white hat in the front row, I think you should put 2% of your portfolio into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And remember, people don't just buy Bitcoin, they get orange pilled. Bitcoin is sold, right? There's an army, all of you are part of it, that convince someone of the merits of crypto, of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Ripple if you're Brad Garlinghouse, right? This is a really interesting point. Because it's a new asset, it almost is always sold, right? Larry Fink got orange pilled. He didn't wake up one day and say, God, let me become a Bitcoin firm. There was a concerted effort by 10, 12 people to convince him of why Bitcoin was important for the future. And so now you've got hundreds of salesmen at Morgan Stanley and the other, RIAs all around America who are learning the story themselves and picking up the phone and telling their clients, put 2% of your portfolio, what are you scared of? Right? That conversation is starting to happen. This is a 10-year conversation, not a 10-week conversation. I think there's been a seismic shift in the crypto political landscape in the last 2 weeks. And it started really with kind of a bizarre missive from the White House that said President Biden is going to veto the overturn of SAB 21. And when you think about that, you've got a president pre-announcing he's going to veto an arcane accounting rule that the SEC had filed. You're like, why? And Donald Trump, over the savvy political machine, says, wait a minute, I'm going to be the crypto president. A lot of people like that stuff, Bitcoin. I don't like it so much myself, but I tell you, you like it, I'm going to support you. I'm going to be your president. And, for years, I've been in DC trying to tell people this should be a bipartisan issue. It needs to be a bipartisan issue. telling my Democratic friends, guys, don't keep poking the beast. And that was the day the beast got poked, right? I tweeted, wow, the Democratic Party has decided they're going to be the party that doesn't like dogs, right? There are more crypto owners in America than there are dog owners. And a lot of them are single issue voters. In that week, that was it. You could see it on crypto Twitter. People got fierce. It almost became a purity test. If you don't vote Republican, you're not really a crypto guy. And the Democratic Party heard that. And so what did you see? First you saw 9 Democratic senators cross the aisle on SAB 121, which is really an arcane accounting rule that will allow TradeFi custodians into our space, right? And so that's a big deal, including Senator Schumer, the head of the Senate, and more importantly from New York, where there are a lot of crypto jobs. The same day, or 2 days later, the SEC says, well, calls up all the ETF applicants, get ready. I don't know what happened. It certainly feels like someone from the White House called Mr. Gensler and said, dude, you got to change your stance. It's the only thing that logically makes sense. Of course, I wasn't there. I can't tell you for sure, but now we've got an ETF coming. Just so people don't think all Democrats hated crypto, they didn't. I'd go to DC all the time, and there was plenty of Democrats that understood it, that liked it, and believed we need good regulation for our country. Guys like Richie Torres or Jake Auchincloss, even Hakeem Jeffries, you know, the Democratic leader of the House, completely got it. Elizabeth Warren had a huge sway over crypto politics, and if anything happened in the last 2 weeks, her party said, Elizabeth, enough. Now you've got us in hot water with this giant group of crypto voters in a very tight election year, and we don't appreciate it. And so in lots of ways you can look at this as a giant rebuff of Elizabeth Warren. It's great for all of us because it has gotten the wheels of movement going forward, right? We passed FIT 121. That's a great start. That's now in the Senate, right? The way DC works, right? The House passes bills and the Republicans and the Senate makes laws. And so the most important person right now is Debbie Stabenow, the senator from Michigan, right? Because she's the chair of the Ag Committee where this bill is going to be, the Senate version is going to be built bipartisanly out of the Ag Committee. And if that gets through, those two can decide, Schumer will put it to a vote, and if it gets through, it's going to be law.
Despite the lack of expected interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve, the crypto market remains strong. Novogratz attributes this resilience to the underlying economic policies of the federal government, which continue to drive spending. He highlights that both former President Trump and President Biden have pursued policies that significantly increase government spending, contributing to long-term fiscal imbalances. This environment of continued fiscal expansion, coupled with geopolitical uncertainties, underscores the appeal of Bitcoin as a long-term asset. Novogratz suggests that Bitcoin, along with assets like gold and silver, provides a hedge against these economic uncertainties. The increasing acceptance of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies by institutional investors reflects a growing recognition of their potential as stable stores of value.
What is shocking to talk about how strong crypto is right now. At the beginning of the year, we thought, the market, not just we, thought 5 Fed cuts this year, maybe 7. And now we've gotten 0, and it doesn't look like we're getting any until maybe September, and if we get them, we're going to get 1 this year. And crypto's at the highs. Think of where it would have been if the Fed was cutting rates, right? Why is that happening? Why are equities happening when rates are staying high? The federal government is spending 6.5% more of GDP than a balanced budget would have at a time when we've got full employment, right? We are running the most profligate fiscal policy that we have run since I was born. And it's been normalized. Donald Trump normalized it, Joe Biden has normalized it. They have been the 2 presidents that have done more to wreck the finances of your children and grandchildren than any presidents in the history of this country. And the crypto market understands that. Why Bitcoin is a great long-term asset is because we're in an environment when we have a populist president running on the right and a populist president running on the left. And populist presidents don't like to tighten their belts. Joe Biden wants to forgive more student loans, right? I was talking to a Democratic senator today who's on the Armed Services Committee. He said, I don't care who wins. We need to spend so much on the military in the next 10 years to combat the threat from China and Russia and the new advancements in AI and fighting, that just the increased military spending is incredible. Where are we going to get all this money? We're going to keep printing it and printing it. Those deficits aren't going away. And that really is why you should sleep like a baby owning your Bitcoin. Have a little bit of gold and silver as well. It's more like $150 million on its way to $250 have moved into crypto super PACs. Now, those super PACs are supposed to support crypto candidates, and they have. Right now, in the minds of the guys running the super PACs, you know, the anti-crypto people in vulnerable races happen to be Democrats. And so they became de facto Republican PACs. And yes, this is a direct response. That's how politics works.
Yeah.
The Democrats, and I kept saying to my Democratic friends, how stupid are you guys going to be to take a issue over a technology and lose some elections over it? Mark Cuban started tweeting that early on, and lots of influencers. And listen, the way politics work is politicians want to get reelected, and they listened. And that's really a good thing for all of us.
The rise of crypto-focused super PACs is another interesting development. These political action committees aim to support crypto-friendly candidates and influence legislation in favor of digital assets. Novogratz points out that these super PACs have primarily supported Republican candidates, given the current political dynamics. This political support underscores the importance of the crypto community in shaping future regulations by aligning with candidates who understand and support the crypto industry. These super PACs can help ensure that the regulatory environment continues to evolve in a way that fosters innovation and growth. Please like and subscribe my channel.